In 2014, Olympia Yarger, a single mother struggling to make ends meet, decided to start her first farm. But she was not raising fish, chickens, or cows. She was raising maggots. When many people heard about it, they called her crazy. Some even found the idea disgusting. But from that small farm, she turned her strange idea into a major biotech company. Under the lights, larvae squirmed inside growing trays. They were placed inside systems the size of standard shipping containers. Each container could hold up to 15 million larvae, all managed by some of the most advanced robots. They eat 5 tons of food waste every day, but Olympia did not see that as a cost at all. And yes, the Australian government really allowed this. It has already appeared in Australia's capital. But soon, similar containers may appear in many other places, devouring waste across the entire country. So what is the real purpose behind all of this? To understand why Australia needs millions of larvae, we have to look at a much bigger problem growing behind its cities: waste. Did you know that by the time you are watching this documentary, Australia has already thrown 867 tons of waste into red-lidded garbage bins? Australia is a wealthy, modern country ranked among the world's major economies. But according to Australia's Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment and Water, the country wastes about 7.6 million tons of food every year. That equals more than 300 kilograms per person and causes more than 36.6 billion Australian dollars in losses. It could be spoiled vegetables in supermarkets, leftover bread, fried chicken, bruised fruit, or meals that never reached the people who needed them. But End Food Waste Australia says about 70% of that wasted food is still edible. Of course, we are not just talking about waste. There is another, more important problem. Most people make the mistake of thinking that only industrial waste or factories cause harm. In Sydney, food scraps make up about 40% of the trash. When buried in landfills, organic matter breaks down and produces methane, a greenhouse gas 30 times more powerful. The problem becomes even more serious because Greater Sydney, which is home to 66% of the state's population, has completely run out of landfill space. They are forced to spend huge amounts of money transporting waste to other cities. But in my opinion, they are only moving the waste somewhere else instead of solving the problem completely. In addition, Australia is also facing another kind of pressure. The United Nations has set a target that before 2030, Australia must cut 50–70% of its organic waste and completely ban landfill disposal. That is why Australia has been forced to find a faster, cleaner, and smarter way to deal with it. And right at that moment, the woman who would change the future of waste management in Australia appeared. Olympia Yarger. To be clear, she was not a scientist or a businesswoman. Olympia was a woman who loved agriculture, had been connected to military life through her family, had gone through many personal pressures as a single mother, and was always thinking about one question: how could agriculture become cheaper, more sustainable, and less wasteful? At first, she thought about starting a farm. But in agriculture, the cost of animal feed is extremely high. Forbes Australia quoted Olympia as saying that about 70% of production costs are related to feed. When she was 47 years old, she came up with a method: using Black Soldier Fly Larvae to eat waste. She began with a few hundred larvae in cheap plastic boxes placed in the garage behind her house. But then something unexpected happened. The temperature rose, causing the larvae to die in large numbers, and the smell of decomposition became overwhelming. After many failures, in 2014, the biotech company GoTerra was born. People still mock the idea. Neighbors signed petitions against her because of the terrible smell coming from the garage behind her house. Investors rejected her outright 48 times because they believed the idea had no hope and was a waste of time. It sounds easy when you say it, but Olympia had to face an idea that many people found disgusting the first time they heard it. Investors were skeptical. Local residents found it hard to believe. A company raising maggots did not sound like the future at all, but she kept going. Despite everything, GoTerra proved that an optimized solution could work through mobile technology containers. The smartest part of her idea was not simply feeding waste to larvae. Instead of spending millions of dollars on logistics and releasing pollution by transporting waste long distances, this robotic system could be brought directly to the places where waste was generated, such as shopping centers or major urban areas. Instead of waiting 12 weeks for waste to decompose, they needed only 12 days. Olympia also shared that when you send food waste to a landfill, each ton of waste produces 1,700 kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions in CO2 equivalent. But if you feed that same amount of waste to insects, it produces only 35 kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions in CO2 equivalent. But even so, raising maggots still sounds terrifying. So to change the way you see them, let's make something clear first. Black soldier flies are not like houseflies buzzing around your dinner table. The larval stage is the most important part. These larvae can eat twice their body weight every day. They grow quickly, and when they become adults, they do not eat, do not bite, and do not have mouth parts like many other annoying fly species. A female can lay around 500 eggs, and the larvae can grow up to 27 millimeters long. The city of Sydney also says this species does not carry or spread disease like many other insects. In fact, the larvae can even break down bacteria in leftover food. So what actually happens inside these containers? Do you want to know the details? Even if you do not, I am still going to tell you. We already know how the larvae are born. And just like any other product, larvae need to be harvested when they are at their best stage. That way, they can eat more waste. When they are 5 days old, they are moved into the containers. They begin eating waste, but not in the way you might think. Food waste from supermarkets, residential areas, or businesses is brought into the system. First, machines remove the things that larvae cannot eat, such as plastic, cardboard, and packaging mixed into the waste stream. Then, the organic waste is ground into a slurry, a soft, smooth, and more even mixture before being pumped into the larvae growing area. These containers are controlled remotely and are even connected to the internet, although probably not to watch YouTube. The system creates the perfect environment for the larvae, collects data, and monitors everything to make sure food is supplied every day. Luckily, no one has to keep an eye on every single larva, because one shipping container can hold between 10 and 15 million larvae. Do you remember when Olympia failed? These are not easy creatures to care for. If it gets too hot, too dry, lacks oxygen, or the feeding rhythm is wrong, the entire system can be thrown into disorder. That is why GoTerra uses sensors and automation to monitor temperature, humidity, airflow, waste levels, and digestion conditions. Robots keep the environment stable enough for the larvae to work as fast as possible. If you think the story ends with the larvae eating waste, it does not. The more impressive part is what happens afterward. Over a cycle of about 10 to 12 days, the food waste does not simply disappear. It is transformed into two products that can be returned to the economy. The first is frass, the waste produced by the larvae, which can be used as a soil conditioner or an organic fertilizer. A 2022 scientific review of Black Soldier Fly frass found that, depending on the type of waste used as feed, frass can contain important macronutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. This natural fertilizer is rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, making it an excellent option for improving soil. As a result, it is collected and sold to anyone who can use it, including farmers, plant nurseries, pet stores, and aquaculture operations. One standout example comes from a partnership between Hyatt Regency, Sydney GoTerra, and Four Winds Vineyard in Murrumbateman. Frass produced from food waste at the hotel is delivered to the vineyard to nourish the vines. The grapevines absorb the nutrients from the larval fertilizer, produce grapes, and those grapes are harvested and turned into premium wine. That wine is then served back to guests at Hyatt Regency Sydney. To prove this is a real-world project rather than just a marketing concept, the Circular Wine line was officially launched under the name the Circular Vintage Series. According to trusted sources within the wine industry, the series debuted with a Shiraz in April 2026, followed by a Riesling scheduled for release in September 2026. The second product is the fully grown larvae themselves. They can be processed into protein for livestock feed, aquaculture, or pet food. One of the biggest advantages of Black Soldier Fly larvae is that they offer much more than just protein. A 2022 nutritional review reported that larvae and pupae contain approximately 32 and 53% protein and 18-33% fat, depending on the type of feed they are raised on, often exceeding the nutritional value of conventional feed ingredients, such as bran or soybean meal. A 2024 review on poultry nutrition also emphasized that Black Soldier Fly larvae have strong potential to replace part of traditional protein sources, because of their high digestibility and excellent nutritional value. Thanks to an $8 million Australian investment from Tenacious Ventures and Mike Cannon-Brooks's Grok Ventures, GoTerra was able to build 6 full-scale robotic insect farms. Sydney will become the first place in New South Wales to run a trial using larvae to process food waste. And not just waste collected from shopping centers, but waste that has already piled up in landfills. According to the plan, the insects will turn leftover food into essential ingredients for producing feed, of course, not in the sense that humans will eat what the larvae did not finish. The City of Sydney and GoTerra are working together on a 1-2 month program at a processing facility in Alexandria, aiming to process up to 500 tons of food waste from the food scraps recycling service. More than 22,500 households have access to this service. By March 2025, the first pilot program in New South Wales had turned nearly 90 tons of leftover food into about 19,000 kilograms of fertilizer and 6,000 kilograms of high-protein animal feed. Clover Moore, the Lord Mayor of Sydney, warned that Sydney's landfill space is running out quickly, which means projects like this are no longer just green decoration for a better public image. They are becoming necessary. Olympia Yarger called Alexandria the 7th official site in GoTerra's network, a project focused on processing household organic waste right inside the city, preparing for New South Wales' requirement to divert food waste away from landfills, starting in July 2030. At Hyatt Regency Sydney, near Darling Harbour, a 5-star hotel has also brought larvae into its own back-of-house operations. Beneath the hotel's luxury spaces, a container-sized unit processes about 500 kilograms of food waste each day from the hotel kitchen, orange peels, watermelon rinds, and other inedible scraps. General Manager Jane Lyons said there were initial concerns about odor, flies, and maggots, but because the system is fully enclosed, those problems did not occur. After harvest, the larvae are sent to Hilltop's free-range farm to be used as feed for egg-laying hens, and then the eggs return to be served at the hotel. Frass nutrient-rich insect waste is also being tested as fertilizer for the vineyard that supplies wine to the hotel. By 2026, AgriFutures Australia described GoTerra's technology as having expanded to 12 locations across the country, including Melbourne Airport and Howard Smith Wharves in Brisbane. But scaling this idea is not easy. Olympia said the waste and agriculture industries are often seen as slow-moving and low-tech, and raising capital as an independent female founder was even more difficult. Because of that, GoTerra had to move quickly from research into commercial deployment to prove that the model could actually work. On the other side of Australia, marine scientist Luke Wheat is following a similar path with Arvella, focusing on breeding black soldier flies and supplying eggs and early-stage larvae to other companies. He said insects have been doing this work in ecosystems for millions of years. Humans are only now learning how to make use of it. But he also warned that raising insects at scale is nothing like keeping a few chickens in the backyard. Each waste stream affects product quality differently, and every stage from egg to larva to pupa to adult fly requires tight control over climate and nutrition. So why not release the larva directly into landfills and let them eat on their own? It sounds simple, but in reality, that approach would almost destroy the entire idea. Black Soldier Fly Larvae are not a magic army that can crawl into any pile of trash and turn it into clean feed. They need stable conditions. Research on food waste treatment using BSF has found that the optimal rearing temperature is around 26-27 degrees Celsius, with relative humidity at 60-70% and substrate moisture at about 50-70%. In an open landfill, temperature, humidity, and oxygen levels constantly change. If it gets too hot, too dry, or lacks air, the larvae can die or become much less effective. Even more dangerous, a landfill does not contain only spoiled vegetables. It also contains plastic, metal, chemicals, and pollutants. A 2024 review warned that BSF larvae can accumulate heavy metals such as cadmium. Returning to the project, GoTerra is now getting more attention because it has appeared at exactly the moment New South Wales is starting to tighten the way organic waste is handled. The NSW EPA says households must be provided with a FOGO service collecting food organics and garden organics before July 2030. For large businesses and organizations, the rules will be rolled out in stages starting in July 2026. That means food waste will no longer be able to keep getting mixed into red-lidded bins and sent straight to landfill the way it was before. Cities will need many solutions working at the same time: FOGO collection, composting, anaerobic digestion, and on-site treatment models like GoTerra. So the larvae-growing containers may not become the main solution right away. But if FOGO laws are rolled out widely, landfill costs rise, and cities need to process waste closer to where it is produced, systems like GoTerra could absolutely appear more often at supermarkets, hotels, residential areas, and waste processing facilities in the next few years. But do not think Australia is the only country seeing the potential of these larvae. GoTerra is only one part of a much larger wave now emerging around the world, turning organic waste and agricultural byproducts into protein, insect oil, and fertilizer. The reason is simple and also brutally clear. The world is wasting far too much food. UNEP says that in 2022, humans generated about 1.05 billion tons of food waste, equal to more than 1 billion meals thrown away every single day. Food loss and food waste produce about 8–10% of global greenhouse gas emissions, nearly 5 times more than the aviation industry. In France, they are also using Black Soldier Fly Larvae. The Washington Post described InnovaFeed's plant in Nestle as one of the largest insect farms in the world, raising about 10 billion Black Soldier Fly Larvae. This is not a few million larvae inside one container, but billions of living organisms inside a massive industrial system. They are fed with byproducts from a nearby grain processing plant, grow through a cycle of about 14 days, and are then processed into protein and oil for livestock feed, pet food, and aquaculture. Only about 5% of the larvae are kept for breeding. The rest enter a new food chain. The Guardian also reported that InnovaFeed's facility covers about 55,000 square meters and can produce around 15,000 tons of protein per year, along with oil used for animal feed, pet food, and aquaculture. In the Netherlands, product stands out in a different way, turning low-value organic material into higher-value nutritional ingredients. The company uses black soldier flies to convert food waste into ingredients for pet food, animal feed, crop care, and agriculture. Products does not sell a sensational story about maggots. It sells a less wasteful food system, where organic waste is upgraded into protein, oil, and fertilizer. This shows that in Europe, this model is no longer just a strange experiment. It is being standardized into commercial products. In the United Kingdom, Better Origin follows a model much closer to GoTerra's, packaging insect farms inside containers. EIT Food describes the company as using Black Soldier Fly Larvae to turn organic waste into aquaculture feed and fertilizer. The larvae can convert up to 95% of organic waste into fat and protein inside their bodies. The Guardian also wrote that Better Origin's X1 insect farms are housed inside shipping containers, managed by AI, and were once part of Morrison's carbon-neutral egg initiative. Chickens eat insects, while the insects are raised on unsold fruits and vegetables from supermarkets. In other words, an egg on a supermarket shelf can begin with the very vegetables that supermarket could not sell. This is a very easy to understand cycle. Unsold food feeds larvae, larvae feed chickens, chickens lay eggs, and the eggs return to the supermarket. And even more surprisingly, Vietnam also has a major example. Entobel, a Singapore-based company operating in Vietnam, opened a Black Soldier Fly production facility in Ba Ria Vung Tau in 2023. Entobel describes it as the largest insect protein factory in Asia, with a capacity of about 10,000 tons of insect protein per year. The factory has 50 vertical rearing levels and uses robots, sensors, and data analytics to increase productivity. AgFunder News reported that the facility was built in 12 months and created around 150 jobs in production and operations. Mekong Capital also describes Entobel as producing protein, insect oil, and frass fertilizer for aquaculture, livestock, pet food, and agriculture. In the end, the story of Olympia Yarger and Black Soldier Fly Larvae is not just a strange story from Australia. In the future, will we keep throwing food away, burying it underground, and letting it produce methane? Or will we learn how to turn it back into a resource? As the global population grows, the demand for protein for fish, poultry, livestock, and humans will also continue to rise. But land, water, animal feed, and the climate are all under pressure. In that context, a tiny creature that humans once found disgusting could become a new link in the chain, eating the food we leave behind, creating fertilizer for the soil, and becoming a source of protein for the food system. Of course, larvae cannot solve every problem, but they remind us of one very harsh truth. In nature, there is no such thing as waste. Only humans created a system of producing, consuming, and then throwing things away. So what do you think? Is this a smart solution for the future? Or is it too strange to belong in a modern city? Leave your comment below. And if you enjoy strange but true stories about the world, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and keep exploring with us.